All right, we are live and on the air. It is the Loose Lug Nuts. We are back. We had a little scheduling snafu. We had one of our co-hosts with some travel plans. We had one of us who kind of forgot what day it was, and we ended up missing last week. But we are back tonight. We are back. We are hopefully back better than ever, stronger than ever. Going to bring the enthusiasm and the energy and tell you guys about another exciting weekend of racing. Maybe wild would be better. And I am joined by my co-host, Aaron Simmons and Zachary Brandvold. Zachary, let's start with you. How are you tonight, Zach?
Doing well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. We took a week off. I think it was a much-needed week off for all three of us. Reset, refreshed, and ready to roll. Talk about racing this past weekend, which there was a lot of stuff to talk about. So, pretty exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. Wild excitement. We had some great racing this weekend. Aaron, how are you this evening?
Doing well. Kind of more of a relaxing day for me today. Got some stuff done around the house. Played some Xbox for a little bit today. So overall, good day. Also got a haircut. Very nice. But on that, I'm going to talk about some racing because we've had 3 races this week. 2 new venues for 2 of the series. And so it's been a wild week. So I'm ready to talk about it.
It definitely has. Before we get into the racing action, a couple things to take care of here. One, Blade Fox tuning in saying, good evening, fellas. Thank you, Blade. Good to have you with us. And I want to make my opening comment today, June 7th. I now have something I have never had before. I have a teenager. My son turned 13 today. He is up with his mom's right now, but I'm going to go get him tomorrow. We're going to spend the rest of the week and the weekend together. We got a birthday party planned for him. He's got a gaming PC. That is his big birthday present, and I can say that because he's not tuning in tonight. But Lord help me, I now have to navigate him through the teenage years. But want to say happy birthday to him. Being his dad has been the greatest and most challenging job I have ever held. But happy birthday to my son, Jacob. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Can't wait to celebrate your birthday this weekend. Mike Cora noticing, hey, we got a swimming pool here, and the kids always want me to swim with them and wear the mask. I can't wear the mask. It doesn't seal, so I have to shave in the summertime. First topic up, other than me shaving and the birthdays, is the truck race at WWT, which I still want to call it Gateway. But Aaron's going to take us through the truck race and give us the highlights on the truck race. Tell us what went on in the truck race, Mr. Aaron.
Well, for the truck race at Gateway, I'm calling it Gateway because that's what it should be. But stage 1, not really a whole lot. You had Heim and Majeski on the front row. Chandler Smith quickly overtakes Majeski for second, and then on lap 18, he takes the lead from Heim, and he just goes off and wins stage 1. Nothing really of note happened during that stage, but hey, I mean, it's truck series. It kind of usually starts off very slow, but then it ramps up, which it did in stage 2. Already pit road hell has started. Haley Deegan had to take an extended pit stop just because Gateway's pit road is not necessarily meant for NASCAR. The big heavy stock cars is originally designed for Indy and I believe Formula One, if I'm correct. So please, if get comments, please tell me I'm wrong and I'm an idiot and I should not have a spot on this show because I'm stupid. But anyway, Haley Deegan had to make a extended pit stop, and so that will leave Grant Enfinger and Chandler Smith up front. Enfinger got a 2-tire pit stop during the stage break, and so he is up there on the front row. Will challenge for the lead for Chandler Smith. Caution number 1 comes out. Tanner Gray and Caruth, I believe I'm saying his name correctly. They spin in turn 3. I'm sorry?
Raja Caruth.
Roger Caruth. Okay, thank you. So Gray spins out off turn 3. He had a little help from, I believe, Majeski. And Caruth, he was on the outside looking to try and get some more spots, and then he just took evasive action and spun himself out. Not really a whole lot of damage to Caruth, but Gray had a ton of damage. But on the restart, Smith and Edfinger on the front row. You're going to be hearing that a lot from stage 2. But then second caution of the day comes out for John Hunter Nemechek. He gets kind of pinched down by Friesen in a racing incident, or if you want to call it that, but was called racing incident. He spins out and collects and takes a ton of damage to the front lift of his truck, but then collects numerous trucks around him, including the front row sitter, Majeski. But during Majeski's repair time on pit road, he wins my creative pit crew truck repair of the week award because they tried to fix his back bumper with a ratchet strap, which I thought was genius. But then after I quickly found out, and they said, no, you can't do that. You got to come down and repair it the normal way. But damn it, I wanted him to leave it on there just to see what would happen. But anyway, on the ensuing restart, Smith and Enfinger again up front. But this will be the last time you pretty much hear of Grant Enfinger as he gets loose underneath Chandler Smith. He goes around, he collects Chandler Smith. Both of them get into the wall. Smith, he's got a good bit of damage to the rear of his truck, but he will continue on later on in the race. Enfinger, not so much. He's pretty much done for the race in a very kind of very risky move that really should not have been made to begin with. And so on the restart, it'll be Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton up front. Rhodes will just pull away from Crafton, and he will win stage number 2, his 7th stage win of the season. So he is absolutely rocking it. Stage 3, we got 2 new contenders up front. Hocevar and Haley Diggin has made her appearance up front. But Corey Heim will put an end to that real quickly. He essentially pushes Hocevar into 1, and out of 2, he clears Haley Diggin, goes onto the inside of him, and just tries to shoot out front, but could not make it happen. Zane Smith in the 38, he's making his presence known for the first time today. He's going to challenge Hocevar for the lead with Deegan lurking, but unfortunately would not last because Deegan is just losing spots left and right, falling like a rock. Zane Smith, he's just checking out from the field. He looked like he had it in the bag until Chris Wright will spin off turn 3. Nothing real major, just a normal spin. On the ensuing restart, Friesen now to the lead with Hocevar in second. Hocevar and Smith will also make contact. And Smith with an apparent tire cut, and this is Zane Smith, not Chandler Smith. Then the 5th caution of the day will come out. Hocevar gets spun by Matt Crafton. Looks like it was just a racing move. Trying to occupy the same real estate at the same time. Can't really do that. But Hocevar will recover and kind of be mentally top 10 the rest of the day. All right, on the restart, it will be Rhodes and Eckes on the front row. Rhodes will take the lead, but Eckes not far behind. But then the 6th caution comes out. Kobe Howard goes around, takes damage from the wall. But then on the caution laps, Chandler Smith is over the radio, and he is not happy. He feels like he has the best truck of the day, and it certainly looked like it. From the race, he had the truck to win. But on the restart, it will be Kraus and Rose in the front row. Rose takes the lead. Then got the brake caution. And then Rose and Kraus is up front. Rose will take the lead, but then Rose suddenly starts to have some power issues, or some radio issues or something, and so he will lose the lead. And now Kraus will take the lead with 19 to go. Then Eckes, he comes up. He made up probably about 2 seconds with about 13 laps. And so now he will take the lead and it looks like he had it in the back. He's got the win at Gateway until Tanner Gray smacks the wall, 2 to go. And he will lose all that as he takes the outside spot on the restart. Heim will go low. The first time we've seen Heim pretty much in the field since the beginning of the race. And so he will take the inside and he will just shoot away for the win. But I guess the main event of the day, Hocevar got spun around off of turn 2 and then just get drilled into the left front of his truck. Apparently, over the radio, he was trying to call out for somebody to help him. He either broke his foot, broke an ankle, or something, but he was in pain, and he was not well. He had to be actually carted off the track and went to a local hospital there in Milwaukee. But from recent posts, it looks like he is doing okay, and so we're very thankful for that. But especially he's hurt, but that's the risk you take when you're in this kind of sport.
Yeah, that audio is kind of scary because he sounded scared because he was just help me, and I guess he put out a tweet or a Facebook post or a press release something today saying waiting to hear back from a specialist. Sounds like it's ankle or foot, right side, but glad that it's not life threatening, and hopefully he is back sooner rather than later. He was on a hot streak. I really think he was on the verge of getting his first win. He almost had that Charlotte race won with a huge lead, but a late caution kind of derailed his chances to win. But he is an up-and-coming guy in the sport, and really hope he gets back sooner rather than later, and that it's not a serious injury.
I do too. He's a very likable guy. I'm slowly becoming a fan of Carson Hocevar. He's one of the reasons why I'm really starting to really kind of get into the truck series now, because he seems like a very likable young guy, young up-and-comer. And so I really hope it's a speedy recovery.
Yeah, and how about Corey Heim? I think this is his 5th start and his 2nd win or something like that. But he is looking like he's got a lot of talent. And Kyle Busch Motorsports, I'm telling you, if you saw the end of the race, there are no team orders at Kyle Busch Motorsports. I mean, Corey Heim was racing his teammate absolutely as hard as he raced anybody all day. He threw a block on that final restart where I thought they were going to come out of that block with one of them having somebody's grill from the inside on their grill. I mean, they ran that low on the track. I mean, there are no team orders there. That was hard. That was racing among teammates as hard as I saw anybody race all day in that truck race.
Yeah, honestly, that reminded me of the Carl Edwards and Joey Logano incident at Homestead, just without the fiery crash. But
yeah.
Zach, do you have anything for the truck race?
No, I just thought that was a little bit of aggressive block, but it needed in that scenario. I saw that once you lost a little bit of momentum, you would go back to the back or loose positions consistently. So it was all about momentum, especially keeping up your corner speed, entry, exit, middle. So yeah, and also some pretty interesting results. Matt getting 6th place was interesting. I know we saw some people wreck out there late, but still getting top 10s, which is interesting. Brings his total to 5 on the year. Around last time I checked, around 60 points away from the cut line. So probably still needs a win, but definitely wrangling that car or that truck, into good position here. So good to see.
Yeah, he's not out of it yet.
Okay, before we get to the Xfinity, one thing I want to add is I like to think that we can bring something to the table and we can show people things, storylines they may have missed, or strategy plays, or something that they don't get from watching a highlight reel or from even watching the race himself. But let's rewind to Corey Heim in Atlanta, okay? If I am not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, when he got to WWT, he was throwing this extremely aggressive block on Zane Smith, okay? If I am not mistaken, wasn't it Zane Smith that was a lap down at Atlanta, but running with both of his Kyle Busch teammates and had a decision to make? Does he go with John Hunter Nemechek or does he go with Corey Heim? He went with Corey Heim. Pushed Corey Heim to the lead instead of John Hunter Nemechek. Apparently, Corey Heim doesn't remember that very well because he threw the most aggressive block I've seen out of anybody when it came time to getting the win at WWT. So wonder if, knowing how WWT was going to go, if Zane Smith would have done it any differently back at Atlanta.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, Zach, you are up with the Xfinity race.
Yeah, so quite interesting race. Inaugural Portland, the Portland track. So starting out, we had qualifying was in the dry with the 23 of Anthony Alfredo and the 21 of Austin Hill starting on the front row. To start the race, however, the track was very wet. So the entire field started on wets. Omendinger, coming up on the warm-up lap, drove through the grass and messed up his splitter a little bit slightly, but a lot of grass on the grill. He was forced to pit after all that grass at the end of the first lap. So he's already starting behind on the 8 ball there. Both leaders are coming to turn one. We get the start. Both leaders are forced to use the access road and perform a stop and go penalty, but Alfredo is still able to keep the lead even after stopping and going after that. Sam Mayer coming into turn one gets spun, coming out actually, and comes out with some damage after that contact, but still is able to keep rolling. Sheldon Creed ends up leading the first lap with Ty Gibbs closing behind. Ty Gibbs ends up taking the lead on lap 2. AJ Allmendinger again having issues. He slides off to the grass, pushing hard, trying to make up time. At this point in time, he's probably about half a lap from the leader, but he ends up sliding all the way off the track and almost into the wall. And that causes him to lose a bunch of time, and he ends up losing a lap as he tries to get back on the track. And then we have our first caution, which kind of saves AJ Allmendinger. The 19 spins, which causes a checkup, and Sam Mayer runs into the back of another car and absolutely destroys the oil pan, and that ruins his day. The restart for this, and by the way, AJ Allmendinger does get his lap back, and with that caution, as he's the first car lap down. The restart is a complete mess, as only the top 8 are in position as the green flag waves. NASCAR does not call it off. They go with it, and they keep rolling. With about 7 laps to go in the stage, Creed spins out from second place and loses a bunch of positions, but we end up staying green as Ty Gibbs wins stage 1 with Austin Hill, Mozak, Hemrick, and Moffitt are your top 5 for stage 1. Heading into stage 2, Gibbs leads Austin Hill for the restart on stage 2, as we have a caution as there's a huge wreck coming out of turn 2, as Herbst gets turned around and carnage ensues. The 13, 38, and 6, all with heavy damage, block the track in the narrow straight leading to turn 3. Therefore, we bring out a caution. So now that we have another restart, it is the same front row, but with the restart, the 18 of Connor Mozak is challenging Gibbs into turn 1, as Austin Hill kind of falters a little bit on the outside. Mozak gets to get Gibbs inside. They get side by side, but coming out of 2, 54 gets more traction and takes off. Gibbs races out to his 7-second lead in 9 laps. Caution number 3 comes out as multiple cars are off the track. And then under this caution, right as the caution comes out, Jesse Iwuji spins Ty Gibbs under yellow. It appears to be an accident, but Ty Gibbs spins and keeps it rolling. There is a penalty issued to Iwuji, being held for 2 laps for that contact. Then we have a green flag as Noah Gregson works the outside of Ty Gibbs into turn 1. They fight for space in turn 2, but Gibbs, he holds the lead. As they roll into turn 4, Noah Gregson leans on Gibbs, runs him wide, and Gregson takes the lead. Ty Gibbs turns Noah and retakes the lead, no caution, and Sheldon Creed ends up working by Gibbs to take the lead, all in the matter of a lap. Gibbs dives to the inside of Creed, trying to pass him back, and they make contact. Gibbs and Creed are both off the track into the final corner, and Andy Lally takes over the race lead. Road course ace. On lap 47, Matt Snyder is all over the bumper of Andy Lally for the race lead. He has a run and clears under braking into turn 8, and Snyder leads. This is some of the first laps that the 31 team has led in its existence in the Xfinity Series, so it's pretty awesome to see. There's 3 to go in stage 1, and Matt Snyder misses a braking zone into turn 4. Lally closes right to his bumper, but Snyder ends up holding him off as he wins stage 2 with a weird top 5, as you get Lally for P2, Austin Hill 3, Castle 4, and Barry rounds out the top 5. Heading into stage 3, the field hits pit lane for for the second 3-minute race break. Most of the field is putting on slick tires as there is a significant dry line forming. There's no longer raining, but the track is a little bit wet in some areas especially. Green flag for stage 3 as Matt Snyder gets the launch, and he's clear into turn 1. But then we have another caution with 23 to go for debris. You have on the restart, Green and Snyder clear into turn 1. Landon Castle takes over second. And then you have about 10 plus cars that tangle into turn 1, but there is not a caution. Right after that, there is another caution that comes out separately with 20 to go, as there are many cars stuck off track, and Sheldon Creed is ended up dropping fluid after running into the back of another car. And then we have another restart. Myatt Snyder locks up and misses turn 1, AJ Omendinger to the race lead. So keep in mind, he had just gotten his lap back in stage 1. He raced his way all the way up to the front and ends up taking the lead with a little bit less than 20 to go. Multiple cars crash into turn 4 as we get another caution with 13 to go. Let's see. As they roll into caution, the rain has begun to fall again, and crew members have a decision to make. Do they come in and pit for rain tires again, or do they stay out on the slicks? AJ Omendinger pits from the race lead for wet tires, and Omendinger restarts third as Jay Buford and JJ Yaley stay out. Yaley's the only other car on slick tires. Every single other car is on rain tires. As the green flag waves, Omendinger dives in the inside of Buford for the lead. You have Allgaier, Gregson, and others tangle behind them, but there isn't a caution. Myatt Snyder and AJ Omendinger run side by side for the lead as Myatt Snyder is closing. But then we have another caution. 7 to go for debris. For the restart, Snyder clears into turn 1, but AJ Omendinger holds on to second. But AJ Omendinger rubs on Snyder getting into turn 4, and he ends up taking the lead away from the 31. With 1 to go, Omendinger leads Snyder by 1.5 seconds, and he ends up holding him off to win the first inaugural race at Portland International Raceway. Your top 5 is Omendinger, Snyder, Hill, Barry, and Allgaier.
Yeah, I thought this race was just absolutely chaotic from start to finish. I mean, I honestly I saw the highlights of the Xfinity races because I was at work the entire day Saturday, and so when I saw that Omendinger was about to be put a lap down and kind of learning what happened to him at the very start of the race, and then as I was coming home, I was checking my phone to see that he won. I'm thinking, how the hell did he win? Wasn't he like a lap down at one point? Like, what the hell happened?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, to me, that's the major storyline of the race that I think we kind of overlooked in the review there. That Allmendinger won this thing, starting last and at one point being a lap down. If that doesn't qualify you as a road race or road course ringer, I don't know what does. That's basically saying, I'm so good, I'll spot you guys a lap and I'll still kick your ass. I mean,
yeah, I mean, like I said before, he ended up getting his lap back at the end of stage 1 only because there was a caution. So he ended up being a lap down for the majority of stage 1 after he spun off, and then he only got it after he got that free caution for the 19 spinning and Sam Mayer running into the back of another car. So you can kind of thank Sam Mayer for that, getting a reset there, I think.
And how about this? Ty Gibbs actually gets hit, and somebody's not mad at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse Iwuji flat out wrecked him, and I guess issued an apology after the race. There was a miscommunication. He was ahead of Ty when the caution came out. I don't know if he was in the free pass position or just ahead of him as for position, but he went to take his position back as he had been instructed per NASCAR. Thought that Ty Gibbs was giving him room to go down there. It turns out Gibbs was, I guess, just taking a wide arc into the corner. And by the time he came down, Iwuji had already committed to going by him, and that's how it happened. So he issued an apology, but he still got called to the NASCAR hauler. And I think didn't he get parked for a lap or two?
He got he got issued a 2-lap park, and so he ended up having to go 2 laps down while in race. But he got called to the hauler afterwards. But I didn't think it was. I think that was just a brain fade, simply. I mean, Iwuji tried to explain that he saw a Ty going wide, but apparently he was just arcing so he can get back into the corner. So he dove into it, thinking that he was going to go wide, letting him through, and they made contact. I don't know. I don't think turn 1 is the best way, best time to go passing someone. But clearly there was some miscommunication there.
I'll tell you what, though, just given how Ty Gibbs has been going, that probably earned Jesse Iwuji more fans than anything he's done in his career.
I mean, people already have a negative connotation with Iwuji anyway. I'm sure this probably eased people's concerns a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I'm a fan, so.
Anyway, let's get on to the Cup race. Come on, Tom. What you got?
All right, so the Cup race. Let's go through the Cup race here and talk about lots of things in the Cup race. Okay, at the start, the initial start, it was completely wild. We had dive bombs into the corner. We had people going 3 and 4 wide racing throughout the pack on what was basically a short track. I think is it 1.25 miles? I'm not sure exactly how big it is, but it races a lot like a short track like Phoenix. That was your preview of what's to come, that this is going to be a wild day. So stage 1, Chase Briscoe got the pole, leading, looking good, blows a left rear tire, a recurring issue in NASCAR right now, but he blows a left rear tire while leading, doesn't hit anything, is able to stay on the lead lap, and actually comes back with a decent day. Not much else happens in stage 1. Austin Cindric wins, followed by Blaney, Reddick, Hamlin, and Chastain. Notice, no mention of your eventual race winner, Joey Logano here. By the way, Hamlin and Chastain finishing nose to tail there for the 4th and 5th spots. Not the last time you're going to hear those two names mentioned together. So let's go to stage 2. We got teammates going up front. Blaney and Cindric battle for the lead. Cindric almost wrecks Blaney while battling for the lead, but eventually yields. Blaney gets the position and is leading. Chastain is racing Denny Hamlin hard, trying to get under him, can get under him, but can't complete the pass, seems to get frustrated, and absolutely just dumps Hamlin. They go into a corner. There is a lane and a half below Hamlin. He didn't attempt to get under him. He didn't attempt to get outside him. He pretty much ran right into the back of him. He ran right into the back of him and absolutely dumps Denny Hamlin. So that is our premiere of I saw this on the internet. I couldn't resist. Drum roll, please. Our first premiere of Wreck-It Ross. So, Wreck-It Ross appears. And that is the first start. From that point on, Denny Hamlin was not competitive. He was multiple laps down, kept losing laps all day. Denny Hamlin's mission in life at that point is make Ross Chastain's life a living hell. And he blocked him every way he could. He ran him almost onto the apron. He held him up. He did everything he could to make that man's life miserable without actually touching his car. And I'm like, this is a veteran move. He's not going to sacrifice losing points. He's not going to get himself called to the NASCAR hauler. He's not going to do anything like that. He's just going to make his life a living hell without actually touching him. So with that being said, Ross Chastain says, all right, so I wrecked Denny Hamlin. You think that's bad? Hold my beer. And we have Wreck-It Ralph 2 appear when he decides to stick his nose into a corner right in the middle to make it 3 wide. Now, he didn't make it 3 wide by diving under somebody, and he didn't make it 3 wide because he had a big run and tried to get somebody on the straight. He flat out sticks his nose in the middle and now wrecks Chase Elliott. So now Chase Elliott is unhappy with him. Denny Hamlin is unhappy with him. Basically, I think he just made Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin best friends because now they have a mutual enemy. It didn't get much press or airtime, but he also made a little contact with Austin Cindric earlier in the race. So at this point, if I am the pace car and Ross Chastain's lining up behind me, I'm nervous. Besides that, other news from stage 2, Blaney suffered a flat tire, left rear, again, recurring issue, theme warning. It has been a theme all year long. Again, didn't sustain damage. Actually, he and Briscoe are able to continue on and actually both salvage decent finishes. Blaney actually got stage points in stage 2. The tire did not fall off. Okay. You had all kinds of pit strategies, which made it great. You had people staying out. You had people taking gas only. You had people taking 2 tires, 4 tires. It was all across the board. It was constantly jumbling up the field all day. So it made for great racing. At one point, you had Michael McDowell leading the race and looking good doing it. I mean, he was up front and looking good doing it. They were showing a graphic of his car with 30 lap tires and Kyle Busch, and they were doing the overlay to show what they were like as far as going around the track. And I mean, he was as fast on 30 lap tires as Kyle Busch was on fresh tires. Now, I got to say, though, Michael McDowell has the misfortune of leading right after the Denny Hamlin Ross Chastain incident. So the whole time he's leading, all they're talking about and all the cameras are focusing on is Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin. Poor Michael McDowell can't get camera time even when he's leading. The poor guy. But anyway, due to the cautions, due to the different pit strategies, and I love the fact that it wasn't just a matter of take 4 tires every time there's a caution. You had the field jumbled up. Kurt Busch wins stage 2, Truex second, Kyle Busch third, Blaney rebounds, rounds out the top 10. No Joey Logano. We're halfway through this race and no Joey Logano sightings, and he is your eventual winner. Again, different strategies. At the end of stage 2, over 20 cars stayed out. Kurt Busch won stage 2, restarts 23rd in stage 3. So you've got people all over the place on pit strategy. So as we get in here, 57 to go. There is a caution. Tyler Reddick brings out the caution. This is your money stop. This is the last stop. This is what are you going to do to win the race? You had 5 cars take 2 tires only. Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Kyle Larson, and Alex Bowman. There's been a Joey Logano sighting. First time we have mentioned him all day is with 57 to go, and it's only because he took 2 tires to get track position. First time I mentioned Logano all day long. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Let's pay attention to this. This is the race within the race. This is the strategy. This is pay attention and learn. Kyle Busch, leading the race with 40 to go, starts on the bottom. Decides to pick the restart on the bottom, gets the lead on the restart. Okay. Logano goes around him and takes the lead with 30 to go. We have a caution with 18 to go. Logano goes to the bottom on the restart. Okay. His teammate takes the top and doesn't go with him. Logano's comment was he was taking the bottom because he thought Kyle Busch would run him up the track if he took the top. So what happens? Logano yields to Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch takes the lead on this restart. So now Kyle Busch has got the lead from the top. He's got the lead from the bottom. Okay. So what's he going to do when there is a caution with 5 to go and we've got a green-white checkered? Well, Kyle Busch takes the top. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, Kyle Busch takes the top. So Joey Logano learns from this. So what does he do? He does exactly what he said Kyle Busch is going to do to him, runs him up the track on the restart with his teammate Blaney behind him, and he takes the lead. So he learned from the restart. He said, I know what to do on the bottom. I'm going to run him up the track. That's how I'm going to take the lead. Kyle Busch came back with a valiant effort of a slide job going into 3 and 4, but drove it in too deep, couldn't hold it. The car almost wrecked. Give Kyle Busch tons of credit for doing everything he could to try to win the race, pushing the car to the absolute limit. But Joey Logano makes the restart work from the bottom, used up Kyle Busch a little bit, which didn't get talked about a whole lot, did the crossover when Kyle Busch came with the slide job. Two veterans using every trick in the book, and it ends up with Joey Logano in victory lane. It was an exciting race. You had the field jumbled up. You had the guy who won the race not making an appearance until 50 to go, basically. You had rivalries. You had a green-white checkered finish. If you didn't like this race, if you didn't find something to like in this race, you're just not a race fan. I mean, I thought it was incredible. So a lot to talk about there. What do you guys think?
I thought that Gateway was an awesome track. I think it produced 3-wide racing, which I don't think anybody expected coming into the race at all. A lot of the comments by a bunch of the drivers during practice was, oh, this is going to be a follow the leader type of race. You know, track position is going to really matter. But, you know, we saw a little bit of that. But for the most part, if you were faster, you could find a way by. But especially the restarts were so important, and that's where we saw most of this 3-wide action, and even 4-wide, like you said, at some points. But I thought Gateway just brought out everything right. I mean, I just thought it was awesome racing, and I'm really excited, especially seeing how the parking went. It wasn't a disaster like it was with Nashville, apparently, and also you know, there was a lot more fan interaction. Fans were allowed to walk around the track pre-race, regardless of whether or not you had one of those tickets. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm excited for more races at Gateway. But as far as the racing aspect, you know, I definitely thought that Ross Chastain, he's becoming kind of enemy number one with a lot of drivers. You know, his win ever since his win at Coda, bumping, slamming the leaders out of the way for that one. You've been getting, it seems like he's been probably one of the most aggressive drivers. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and whether or not NASCAR steps in, because they said afterwards that they were going to hold a meeting about all that. So let's see how they handle it and whether or not the drivers think it's over.
I thought Gateway is going to be one of the best races that we've seen this year. You had tons of action. You had short track racing, which the fans have been craving for. Not a whole lot of tire issues. We've had one or two issues with tires, and that was it, which I think is on the lower end we've seen this year. And honestly, Gateway put on a damn good show. And I want Gateway on the schedule for next season, possibly permanently, because it was such a good race. But as for the Ross Chastain thing, I mean, hell, every driver's had one of those days. I mean, we saw Gordon back in 08, 09, somewhere around there at Sonoma, where he just could not stop getting into people. That was a 4-time champion at a track that he's won at multiple times over, and he's had a bad race or two. Every driver has a bad race, and even Chastain, he truly felt resentment for what he's done, saying, like, I can't believe I made those stupid mistakes and kept making the stupid mistakes. I can't believe I did that. I have to feel an apology. So I'm trying to know too. It was just a terrible race for him, and just move on. I don't think Hamlin's going to really do anything, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get into more with the Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin stuff with some other segments that we got coming up here. But right now, let's get us into racing news. So, Zach, take us through the racing news.
Yeah, absolutely. So our first bit of news is going to be Denny Hamlin calls for a change in the NASCAR TV money deal. So as you guys may or may not know, the um, the current TV deal is set to expire at the end of the 2024 season. It's been rumored that NASCAR takes a 10% cut, while tracks take 60%, and the teams are left with just 30% to divide among themselves. It's set to expire, so they're going to have to come up with a new, essentially, for lack of a better word, collective bargaining agreement. But his argument is that TV revenue isn't enough to sponsor, or isn't enough sponsorship to fund teams. At the same time, teams are struggling to find sponsorship costs for the cars. He cites his own team, 2311, and different sponsors throughout. He gives past examples of iconic cars that are more recognized with a single sponsor throughout their entire season rather than multiple as a way. And then, he just says you have to divide it differently. So right now he says essentially they took money even away from the open teams. Of course, you have the charter system. They took money away from teams that don't have sponsors or don't have charters, that pot, and moved it over to the teams that do have charters, just to get a more increased base for charter teams for showing up week in and week out. And that's hindering teams and their operating costs for just wanting to get in themselves. So what are you guys' thoughts on this, Aaron?
I think we did talk about this earlier in the season, to where I don't have the numbers with me, but I'm pretty sure we did talk about it, and Hamlin did make a comment on it that the money is just not split evenly. And from just the percentage side of things, it does seem a little bit lopsided. For a little bit, the tracks take 60% of just NASCAR revenue, which is insane. And it just feels like the tracks, most of them anyway, are just not putting them into good use, I think. And so I definitely do think that the money does need to be divided just a little bit differently, maybe more in favor of the NASCAR teams, just so they don't have to rely so much on sponsorships. But is that going to happen? Probably not. It's just one group of guys trying to change the game, and two of the players not want to change anything. So it's probably not going to change, but I do see what Hamlin's talking about.
What about you, Tom?
Yeah, let me give Denny some advice, okay? Go get you a dictionary, Denny. Look up dictator in the dictionary, okay? That's what you're dealing with here in NASCAR. You can say whatever you want. You know how much leverage you have with NASCAR? Zero, okay? Zero, none, nothing, okay? You want this to happen? Yeah, okay, great, good for you. Let me tell you something. You wish it would happen? This is the old saying, wish in one hand, shit in the other, see which one fills up first. It ain't going to happen, okay? NASCAR, you have zero leverage. NASCAR has no reason, no incentive, nothing is going to compel them to do it. And if you think NASCAR is not a complete and total dictatorship that has nothing to do with equity and fairness, go watch the Dale Jr. download with Jeremy Mayfield on there and see if you don't think we're talking about a dictatorship. It's not going to happen. Good luck to you. You may have good points. You may have valid reasoning. Everything you're saying may be right, but your leverage is zero. So sorry, not going to happen. Good luck to you.
NASCAR always gets the final word.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said about that, but also, with the new drivers association that they're trying to form, it's not under NASCAR's wing. It's potentially times could be changing, so I'm not going to hold my breath, but they are trying to make it more towards drivers league rather than NASCAR running the show. But two things stand out to me that I agree with some of his comments. I don't know exactly how it's split, and I don't really know exactly what the tracks themselves use that money on. So I'm not really going to say that that's too much or too little. But what I will say is he mentions you can have your name on the front of an MLS team for what we charge for half a season. And we're scratching and clawing to get those sponsorships from those MLS teams and other things. I agree with that. I think that it just costs too much. That's one of the reasons why they brought in the new car and tried to lower costs that way. And then he says that it cannot be sponsorship based. We shouldn't have to tread water based on a CMO's decision. The average CMO's lifespan at a Fortune 500 company is 13 months. We're just hoping and praying that the next CMO loves racing. And we see this with Mars. We see this with other longtime sponsors that have exited out. Once that CMO leaves or chief financial officer leaves, then they want to move on to other things, and it's not NASCAR, because frankly, not only is NASCAR, previously with some of these bigger sponsors that have left in the past couple of years, sponsorship or TV numbers have kind of gone down a little bit, but it's not what it used to be when they first joined the sport. So those two things are really interesting, and I think reign true. They have to figure out a way that sponsorship, yes, teams will still have to go out and get it, but to rely less on it, I think is going to be beneficial in the long run. And hopefully they can find an agreement on that. So on to the next one. Carson Hocevar was carried out in a stretcher after Worldwide Technology Raceway crash in the Truck Series race. It's feared that he has a broken ankle, but no news has yet been divulged on his condition. He said he is stable, but it is feared that he did potentially break his ankle. What are you guys' thoughts on this? What on the accident and what happened? Tom, let's go with you first.
The accident was just a racing thing. There was nothing that looked necessarily malicious about it. It looked like any of another 100 accidents you might see in NASCAR. But when they released the audio of it, it really made the dangers and the risks of NASCAR, it drove them home. It made them seem so much more, I guess, real. This was a young man. I think, 19 years old? He was scared. He knew he was hurt. He wanted somebody to help him. To hear him sit there say, help me, it made all of the dangers and risks that you see these drivers face week in and week out suddenly become so much more real when you see this man there knowing he's hurt and just wanting somebody to help him. I will say, from what I saw from the safety crews, and I haven't looked at it intensely, but I have no criticism of them. They got in there. They knew he was, awake, alert, conscious, coherent. They got him out. They got him to the hospital. I have no criticism of them, but it was just very scary to hear this young man and the fear in his voice when he knew he was hurt and just wanted help. So to me, it just brought everything, made it so much more real, hearing the fear in his voice and knowing he was hurt.
What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, just like with Tom. I mean, this wreck and the injury having to, and the injury occurring to Hocevar proves that this sport is not completely safe. It shows that there are plenty of risks being involved in this sport. You're essentially just strapped into a giant metal coffin that can go 200 miles an hour. That's basically all these cars are. They're designed to be safe, but they're not. But they will not keep you totally safe. There's always balancing act between speed and risk, and they will always lean towards speed other than safety. So I'm glad he's okay, but I think this should drive home the point that NASCAR is not a sport that anyone can just go out and do. You got to have a certain personality and a certain kind of bravery to strap into one of these things.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And it's good to see him at least in a stable condition, according to him. A lot of people were criticizing NASCAR, the safety team, for not rushing to him quicker and helping quicker. I don't really see that here. I do think that maybe NASCAR or the officials need to go over putting your window net down, because typically, and from what I have seen over all my years, is once you put that down, it's to signify that you are good. So maybe that needs to get hit home again. Just a better understanding. But other than that, I thought the safety crew did a really, really, really good job trying to get him in there. We heard him on the audio, asking me if he was okay, and then the next steps that they did. But just a terrible crash. I hope that he's able to continue. I hope he isn't lost for the season. And I hope to hear more soon. But just a terrible wreck. And like you said, this is part of racing. It is dangerous. It isn't completely safe. We've seen people walk away from hits that are a lot bigger than this, and without a scratch. And then stuff like this, which is routine. Obviously, an injury, it happens. So, I wish him the best, and I think from all of us, hopefully he is able to continue on this season. So, moving right along, our next one is going to be Ryan Blaney's foundation raises over $200,000, and the proceeds are going to benefit the study of concussions. Essentially, they're gonna fund 2 fellowships to receive training at the University Sports Medicine Concussion Clinic under the direction of world-renowned clinician Dr. Mickey Collins. What are you guys' thoughts on this, Aaron?
Great job for Ryan Blaney to devote or to raise that much money for concussion research, which I think, of course, with what happened to Dale Earnhardt Jr. In the sport, and then of course for so many, of course, NFL players in a different sport, research is always a good thing. And so congrats on Ryan Blaney for donating $200,000. Great job.
What about you, Tom?
I've been a part of a couple of these charity golf outings at places I worked where you have to go and you have to round up sponsors and you have to round up teams to play. And the most anyone I was ever involved in that we were able to raise was $80,000, and the norm was more like about $40,000 or $50,000. So for them to raise $200,000, I think is great, even though Ryan Blaney's a bigger name than anybody I ever got associated with anything I participated in. But that is great, and it is actually at the University of Pittsburgh, which is a long way from the NASCAR hub, but I guess that is right now where they are on the cutting edge of concussion study, and it's going to have 2 guys studying under a world-renowned, like the world leader in concussion, so everything concussion related as far as I can tell. So I think that is great that we're going to have more increased knowledge about concussions. I will say this, and I've said it about NFL players, and I said, I really think when it comes to understanding the human brain and understanding traumatic brain injuries, we're in the infancy of it. 50 years from now, or 100 years from now, or 200 years from now, we're going to look back at this point in time and say we really understood very little about how the human brain works, and especially how it responds to traumatic injury. So I think that it is great that he's helping it move forward, but I think the era that we live in right now, we still understand very little about that subject.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think this is nothing but good. I'm really excited to see what the outcome to this comes to. Dr. Collins also, he treated Dave Blaney and Dale Earnhardt Jr. So he has background with NASCAR drivers as well. So seeing that connection, I think is great. And I hopefully this leads to some breakthroughs. It would be nice to see. So. Like you said, we haven't even scratched the surface, and I'm glad that even active drivers are putting money forward to try and get this figured out. So on to the next one. Ryan Newman is going to be sponsored by Sun Outdoors in the SRX series. They are returning to the series, and they decided to sponsor the 39 of Ryan Newman. So what are you guys' thoughts on this? Tom, let's start with you.
I think that's neat. He's driving a 39, because isn't that what he drove when the number he had when he drove for Tony Stewart?
Yep.
Yes.
So I think that's great. And let's tie a couple of news stories together with this, okay? If you're Denny Hamlin and you're not liking the model that you've got right now, I think if the model is ever going to change, it's going to be Tony Stewart and that SRX series or something like it, where that series becomes bigger and becomes a rival of NASCAR, because that series operates under a completely different model, okay? Every car is prepared identical. Every car comes with a sponsorship, and they have 12 seats available, and they decide what driver they put in those 12 seats. So if you don't want to have to hunt down sponsorship or fight over sponsorship money or fight over money for research and development and engineers and all the things that make NASCAR expensive, the SRX model is how the sport could evolve, because there you don't find a sponsorship, you don't find a crew chief, you don't spend time in the latest simulator that the factory provides to you. Everything is cookie cutter. The car comes with a sponsor, the car comes with a number, the car comes with the crew chief, the car comes with the crew. You just sit in that car and drive it. And that is a completely different model of how racing has ever been done. So I think if it's ever going to change, the SRX series is going to be the new model of how it works. But having said that, I think last year we talked about this when Ryan Newman it was clear he was going to be out of a job, that the SRX would be a great place for him to land. I'm excited to see him there. Their season kicks off June 18th, which is just about 11 days away. So I'm excited. I'll be tuning in to watch it every week, because they put on great shows last year, and I'm looking forward to the second season. So that was a long answer, but I thought it was interesting that we had the Denny Hamlin story, and then we had an SRX story popping up at the same time, because I tie those two concepts together. This SRX is a completely different model of racing.
Absolutely. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm glad Ryan Newman is getting more time in racing. I really liked him in NASCAR, obviously 2014, but no, he's just a likable guy, and so I'm glad that the Newman and Stewart relationship is still there. Of course, Ryan getting his old number back from the Stewart Haas days. And so I can't wait for this SRX season, and I will be damn sure to tune in to watch this time.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. It's good to see his old number back up there, and I think it's gonna be interesting for him. You know, a lot of the comments that I'm seeing is that he's not. People don't know whether or not he's serious enough for SR, or is he too serious for SRX. I think he will treat it exactly how he treated NASCAR, and I think it'll be very interesting to see. So I'm definitely rooting for him, and we'll tune in June 18th. So moving right along, that is all I have for the racing news this week.
Okay. All right, next we are up to who's hot and who's not. Let's jump right into it. Aaron, who you got for who's hot and who's not?
All right, so for my who's hot this week, I gotta give it to Gateway. Essentially just Gateway or WWT, but I'm calling it Gateway. The Truck Series race, which had a great action-packed racing, and then got the Cup Series for the first time ever at Gateway. Amazing race, probably one of the best races that we've seen all year. NASCAR, please, for the love of God, keep it on the schedule. You got amazing fan turnout. You got amazing racing. You got action. You got drama. Please keep it on the schedule. In fact, just get rid of Texas completely. Put Gateway in there, please. But anyway, so for my who's not, I got to go with William Byron. Because over the past 6 races, only 4 top 20 finishes. 4 top 20s. He had a great start, but I think the summer stretch is starting to become a summer slump for him. And so that is my who is not this week. Zach, you want to go next?
Sure. So my who's hot for this week is AJ Omendinger. He wins the Xfinity race in Portland and then flew to Gateway in the middle of the country to start last and finish inside the top 10 out of nowhere, kind of. He has shown that Kaulig has speed on a weekly basis, especially after not practicing at all for Gateway. He gets the top 10. Amazing result, and very happy to see him get success in both series on the same weekend. So this is the second time that he has finished or he's won one race and finished in the top 10 in the other in his career. So very interesting to see. As far as my who's not on this other side, I'm going to have to say Justin Haley and Ross Chastain. Justin Haley, AJ's teammate, on the other hand, has only finished ahead of Colleague's sister car in 4 out of 10 races that both have finished. He does have the team's only top 5, but besides that, his stats look abysmal. He sits more than 2.5 races worth of points out of the playoffs to boot, and I hope he can turn it around in the second half of the season. As far as Ross Chastain, he's my who's not. His image definitely took a hit this weekend as he irritated a plethora of drivers on his bulldoze to the front. He had nothing to regret he had nothing but regret after the race, saying that he has to do better. But he ended the day with a solid points haul and a top 10 in his pocket. We'll have to see if there's any form of retaliation from the victims from Gateway going forward. That's my who's hot, who's not this week.
Okay. All right. That leaves me. And for once, nobody took my who's hot or who's not, so I could make my own choices. Who's hot right now? I'm saying we got rivalries. We got Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain. We got William Byron and Joey Logano. We got Ty Gibbs and anybody who drives an Xfinity car. We got rivalries right now. So right now, rivalries are hot. As much as we have been talking about, the races and different things going on and clean racing and bump and runs and different things, we have rivalries. We got guys who are genuinely mad and dislike each other, and it shows the intensity and passion of the sport. So right now, rivalries are a big thing that is hot. For me, I'm going to piggyback off what one of you guys said. I think one of you guys said Alex Bowman. I'm going to say Hendrick Motorsports as a whole. In the last 3 races, including the All-Star races, 1 top 10, and that was the number 5 car of Kyle Larson, bringing it home in 9th place. So Hendrick Motorsports right now, not hot in my opinion. So that's our who's hot and who's not for the week. Next up, green flag, red flag, and Aaron is going to take us through that one.
All right, gentlemen. For our first one of the night, after Denny Hamlin stated that he would pay back Ross Chastain for the incident at Gateway, Team Trackhouse owner Jim Marks tweeted, and quote, "Can't wait," in reply to Denny Hamlin's comments. How do you feel about Justin's comments? Green flag for he's just sticking up for his driver? Or red flag, he's just stirring the pot and fanning the flames? Green flag or red flag? Tom, we'll start with you first.
And I want to invite the audience to give us a comment here, give us a green flag or red flag, what you think. I don't think Justin Marks' comments are helping the situation at all. I'm going to say red flag. He is simply fanning the flames. I think he made his earlier comments where he said, I didn't think Ross did anything wrong. He needed to leave it at that. He needed to not go out and make a response to Denny Hamlin's comments by saying, can't wait. I think he is just making the situation worse. That's his right to do. He's the one who's ultimately got to pay for all the torn up equipment. So if he wants to do that, go ahead. But I think he's making it worse. I'm going red flag.
Zach, what say you?
I honestly think that it's a joke. If you look in the picture there, that's Pastor Maldonado from F1, and he includes the Project 91 car. I don't know if I would take this seriously. I'm trying to figure out what reference he's trying to pull here. It's a feud. Let the drivers handle it on the track. I don't necessarily think that owners should be getting involved, but Denny Hamlin's classified as a owner, so I really don't think this amounts to anything. But I don't think it really helps. I think he's just sticking up for his driver. I'm gonna say green flag.
All right. Justin Marks throughout his entire NASCAR season, has never backed down from speaking what's on his mind. You know, most teams say we're out there to be competitive and be races, and kind of just do the best we can. Joe Smart says no, we're just here for trophies, and that's it. Go out there, tear up the car. As long as you bring home a trophy, we're fine. And so I want to say red flag. He's just stirring things up, just to stir things up. I think he trusts Ross Chastain. He picked him for a reason out of the veteran Kurt Busch. And so now I want to say green flag. You know what? Green flag. He's sticking up for his driver. I'll change my mind. He's just sticking up for Chastain.
If you look at it, he responds to another Denny Hamlin post about how awesome that Gateway was. And he was like 100% agreed. So I wonder what Denny Hamlin thought about that after their little spat.
Well, we'll find out on Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
All right, number 2 for the night. Denny Hamlin's actions on Sunday sent the message to Ross Chastain, and no further payback is needed. Green flag or red flag? Zach, we'll start with you first.
I mean, if we saw anything from what if we saw anything from what Harvick did and then had to deal with last season, I believe it was, or maybe it was 2 seasons ago. I don't think this is over, so I'm going to say red flag. I think it's going to be handled on the track, though. It just really depends on what NASCAR has to say about it, because I know they're going to be holding a meeting about it with the drivers. It was previously said, so I'm going to say red flag.
All right, Tom, what say you?
Well, a couple things. Maybe I read it wrong, but I thought NASCAR said they would be talking about it this week and they would bring the drivers in if they need it or something. I didn't know that they had committed to bringing them in. So I may have misread that, though. I want to say something here, though. I had a chance to be in an online race with a guy last night who is the same age as Ross Chastain and said he grew up running late models. And he said Ross is the same guy now as he was back then. That is how he races. That is who he is. It hasn't changed from when he was a kid till now. It's probably not going to change. To me, it's not over, okay? If you look at where they were at the end of stage 1, they were running 4th and 5th, okay? They were battling top 10 when this incident happened. How did that race end? That race ended with Ross Chastain having a top 10 finish, Denny Hamlin 10 laps down, okay? If that's how it ended, the score hadn't been settled. The score hadn't been settled until Denny Hamlin is running 10th place or top 10 and Ross Chastain is 10 laps down. You getting in a guy's way and harassing him, that may tell him you're unhappy. That doesn't settle the score. Until you've made him 10 laps down and you're in the top 10, you haven't given him equal payback. So it is not over. That's my comment.
All right. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think for now it is over, but just one little bump from Chastain, be it an accident or intentional, Hamlin will put Chastain in the wall, and Chastain will regret the move for the rest of the day. But I'm gonna go red. I don't think it's over, but
I honestly
think
we are in the playoffs before Denny decides to even the score. I think just the comments he was making about the timing and when it matters most, I think when we're in the playoffs is when Denny evens the score. So I'm kind of going to go that I agree it's over for now, but it's not over.
No. The calm before the storm. All right, and last one of the night. AJ Omendinger had an eventful day at Portland. He started last, spun out, and went off course, was 1 lap down, but yet came back to win. Green flag, red flag, this is the most impressive win of Omendinger's career. Tom, we'll go with you first.
I I'm going to say green flag. I know he's got a cup win, but if you look at that cup win, he was 16th place with 3 laps to go, and that was when the track came apart at the Indy Roval. And then he kind of, I don't want to say he got the he was a got the good fortune of the Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin incident, but he wasn't the fastest car that day by any stretch of the imagination. He's had some big wins in Xfinity, but just as an outright, just this is how talented I am, this is what I can do. If you had any doubts how good I am, I'm going to erase it right here. Yeah, I'm going to say it is, especially when you consider that this was the first time any of them had been to that track. And you heard guys commenting about that track saying, this is the slickest track I have ever raced on, that it is like racing on ice. A track that difficult to get around makes it all the more impressive. I'm going to say green flag, yes.
Okay, and Zach.
I'm going to say red flag. I brought it. I did some research, and it brought me back to the 2020 soaked Xfinity race at the Charlotte Roval, where about everyone was hydroplaning off the track, and you couldn't see anything because it was at night and the infield wasn't lit. It was just chaotic. He actually wasn't the most dominant car in that race. Chase Briscoe was. But he ended up getting the lead from him and going on to win. And there was about an inch of water all the way around the track. I thought it was amazing car control, and I couldn't believe that they allowed him to race like that. But I would say that would be his best win, in my opinion. Although this is very, very, very close with essentially a spin and win. But that's what I'm going with.
Okay. For me, just by the sheer amount of obstacles that he had to deal with at the very start of the race, and basically starting the race with a damaged car, I got to go green flag. I mean, on a track that you have never raced on a car that's damaged, and on a track that is wet and slick, and you somehow win the damn thing, I got to go with green flag. That's his most impressive win yet. So that is the end of green flag, red flag for this week. And we will now go on to the Sonoma preview. And keep in mind, this is not the carousel Sonoma. This is the old school Sonoma, the good Sonoma, with that turn that's like a 90-degree angle where your car is literally facing a wall. You gotta make a hard right to avoid that wall, and to go down and go in a little short shoot. That's Sonoma. So this is gonna be fun. So, guys, who do you got at Sonoma?
I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. I'm going to keep my pick from last week. He's got to win. Second place average finish in the past 3 races. Yeah, I'm going to go with him.
Okay. And do a dark horse pick?
As far as my dark horse pick, man. I'll go true dark horse. I'll pick Eric Jones. He's been solid there. Top 10s. Pretty fast. Just involved in some late race incidents that have kind of hurt him.
Okay. All right. Tom, you want to go next?
Yeah. The return of the king, Chase Elliott. That's my pick. He finished second there last year. I think he is still the best road course racer out there. I think Kyle Larson is struggling with a lot of things right now and struggling to finish races. I think this is the return of the king, Chase Elliott. As far as an actual dark horse, I'm going a true dark horse here. Chris Buescher. Okay. Chris Buescher has got he got 3 top 15s at road courses last year, including a 3rd place at the Charlotte Roval. If you draw any correlation between road courses and short track races, which some of them are some of them are a little bit similar, some of them are not. He's placed top 15 at every short track race this year. So my dark horse is going to be Chris Buescher.
Very interesting. Okay. Let's see. I guess for my pick, let's see. I'm going to go. When it comes to, I want to go back here.
Who won Coda? Didn't we already race there?
Ross Chastain.
Yeah, Ross Chastain.
Okay, that's right.
Who
Drove through AJ Allmendinger to get it.
Yeah.
The path to victory lane at Coda, it goes through AJ Allmendinger.
Bulldoze.
Literally through him.
Yep. And do we know if AJ is going to race at Sonoma?
Yes, he's in.
Oh, I want to pick Omendinger so bad. I want to pick him. Honestly, screw it. I've had terrible picks already. I'm going with Omendinger. Going with the Dinger for Sonoma, and as my dark horse, I'm going with Ross Chastain, your winner from Coda.
Whoa. In what world is Ross Chastain a dark horse?
Well,
Yeah, if you already have a win, you can't be a dark horse.
A win on a road course.
Okay.
Pick another one. Boo.
Damn it. I thought I could slide that by you guys. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go with... Let's see here. Okay, how about this? Daniel Suarez.
How did I know you're going to pick Daniel Suarez?
Am I that
I knew
predictable?
it. I should have said it.
And for the same reason, because he was very impressive with Coda until tires happened.
Until he wrecked out Michael McDowell.
Well, yeah, I was going to get the benefit of the doubt, but... Okay, those are my picks.
There you go. Actually, I think I might change my dark horse to Michael McDowell.
Nope, you can't. You can't change it now. You already said it. All right, anyway, I believe now we're on to the white flag segment of the portion. Everyone gives their final opinions about things. So, Tom, do you have anything you want to say for your white flag lap?
Oh yeah. I got something I want to say.
Uh-oh.
All right. People, accept reality, okay? I don't care whether you dislike Hamlin or like Hamlin. I don't care if you like Chastain or don't like Chastain. I have seen the most ridiculous comments on social media, mostly because people hate Denny Hamlin, defending Ross Chastain, saying that it was Hamlin's fault, saying Hamlin was the one in the wrong. People, this is the problem. If you believe something, you will only accept things that are consistent with your beliefs, no matter what they are. This is a perfect case in point of what is wrong with people today and society as a whole, because you will not accept reality. When even the guy who made the error, who wrecked him, is apologizing profusely after the race, taking full responsibility for it. You're still out there saying, it's not his fault. Hamlin checked up. Hamlin shouldn't have paid him back. Hamlin should have got out of the way. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Accept reality and stop trying to make everything fit into your view of your beliefs. Sometimes your favorite driver screws up. Sometimes the guy you think of is an asshole is actually the one that's right. It's reality. Accept it and stop trying to make everything fit whatever your current beliefs are. This is the worst case of confirmation bias I've ever heard of. And confirmation bias is you'll only accept evidence that's consistent with what you already think. If there's evidence that's not consistent with what you think, you'll reject it. This is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this. This is what's wrong with society and people today. Look at reactions to this on social media, and you can see everything that is wrong. Get over it, people. Sometimes the asshole is right. Sometimes your favorite driver is wrong. The world isn't black and white. It's all gray. Accept it. Sorry, my rant. I'm out of breath now.
Okay, Zach, do you want to go next?
Sure.
He's scared to talk now. After that, everybody's scared. Everybody's
Yeah,
knows what to say now.
I agree with you. There are a lot of, oh my gosh, Twitter is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to sports and anything.
Just general.
I mean, it's awful. People just talk about their driver and they can do no wrong, and just get off your high horse. Even when, like you said, even when your driver makes a mistake and admits to it, there's still people out there that'll defend them. For what? You're not going to meet the guy. Let's just be real. So that's not going to be my white flag. My white flag is completely different. I'm very disappointed in IndyCar's decision to move some of these races to USA because they only had 325,000 viewers and ratings comparable to qualifying for the Cup Series race at Gateway this past week. It was an awesome race. So if you didn't see it, I'm very sad for you. But they moved some of their races. It was announced earlier this season over to USA channel. I don't know particularly why. I think they're testing it out, trying to see it, but absolutely abysmal ratings. I mean, to compare it to qualifying for NASCAR, not even like maybe 100,000 off, the actual race, is absolutely ridiculous. I hope this is not an experiment. Keep in mind now that NASCAR is going to be moving to USA, coming here shortly for some of their races as well. And I don't think that looks very good. So hopefully, they get a lot of advertising. Granted, IndyCar doesn't do a lot of advertising for their product very much. So maybe that has something to do with it. So hopefully NASCAR can take control. But just not the answer. Hopefully they figure it out, and they have to do something with their marketing team because they're just not whatever they're doing is not working. So that is my white flag. Hopefully they can get it together because actually IndyCar is proving to be very interesting this year, and they're losing out on, I think, a lot of fans.
All right, Aaron, I have scared Lucas. He's just a child. I didn't mean to scare him. This show was not meant for younger audiences. I apologize. I've scared him. He can't unsee it now.
No. He's permanently scarred for the rest of his life. But anyway, my white flag is that, going along with what Tom said, everyone has their bad races. Literally everybody does. I mean, when I said that, how Jeff Gordon had a really bad race at Sonoma one year, again, like 08, 09, somewhere around that time period. Again, he's my favorite driver of all time, and even I'm saying, yeah, he had a really shitty race. I mean, he got in Truex Jr. probably like 2-3 times. He got into one pump Montoya a few times. He got in, again, about half the field he probably owed an apology to that day. And he manned up. He admitted it. It's like, yeah, I've had a really bad race today, and I'll owe everybody an apology. But it was just not my day today. I mean, every single one of us has had bad days. Every single one of us has. If you don't say you had a bad day, you're wrong and a liar. So everyone's had a bad day. And one of the pieces of advice that I've gotten for a bad day is learn from it. Sometimes life sucks. Move on to the next day. Hope it's better. And anyone who doesn't, make it better. Just do something to make it better. So that's my white flag. Just move on from it.
Okay. All right. That is it. We are done for the night. Thank you guys for tuning in. We missed you guys last week. Sorry about not putting together a show last week, but we should be on schedule from here to the end of the season. Looking forward to it next week. Looking forward to having you guys join us. Always appreciate all the views, all the comments. So thank you guys for tuning in. And we will catch you guys next week after Sonoma. So have a great week. Enjoy the races. Catch y'all later.
Absolutely. See you guys.
So, guys, be safe.